During COVID, most grocery stores raised the hourly wage of all the people working for them because they had to work harder and it was more intensive. And then, after the grocery stores have registered the biggest quarter ever in profits, they lower those wages. Is it fair? We're going to find out. I am broadcasting from the Secret Bar on Queen Street East in Toronto. My guest is Jerry Dias. He's the president of Unifor, the biggest union in Canada. And he has something to say about that. So welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. It seems to me, and most people, manifestly unfair.
Ridiculous. This is a classic story of the needy and the greedy. 3 CEOs, Loblaws, Metro, and Sobeys raked in over $17 million personally themselves last year. They made over $2 billion in profit in 2019, and their first quarter of 2020 was even better. We're waiting for the next quarter results, which will even be better than that. So this is just ridiculous. They claim that, well, you know, things are leveling out. It looks like the pandemic is coming to the end. They're the only 3 Canadians that believe that. The simple reality is we are nowhere out of the woods yet. And for them to do that was about straight greed and, frankly, ignorance.
They were called before a parliamentary committee, and they sent their representatives. You were active commenting afterwards. How did they explain the greed? Because as you said, biggest profits ever, and probably the second quarter will be another big profit. How do they explain reducing the wages of the working poor?
Their argument was, we just thought that, you know, things were now getting back to normal, so now would be the time to remove the pandemic pay. Like I said, it's completely ridiculous because we all know that we have so much more to go. Look, there's no economic rationale for this decision. It was about straight greed. They can't now take away, in some circumstances, 15, 20, 25% pay increase and somehow justify it.
But they are doing it.
And they are doing it, and they're taking a hell of a lot of crap for doing it as well, because today we understand who the real essential workers are in this country. They're grocery store workers. They're PSWs that work in long-term care facilities. They're transit drivers. They're women that work in shelters. They're airline workers. Listen, those are the real essential workers today. You see the CEOs that are raking in outrageous money? They should be ashamed of themselves.
Well, I think they probably are, but they're maybe ashamed of themselves in some other country where they're enjoying the money. But let's just talk about what can be done about that, because we're hearing more and more. I mean, millionaires used to be the thing, but now there are billionaires all over the place, and lots of them in Canada. Is there a greater sense of social justice amongst our politicians, like to make a higher minimum wage, to have bigger taxation for the billionaires?
Look, I think there's a much more understanding today amongst working class Canadians as to really how underpaid these essential workers are. So the federal government, first of all, should start off by, in fact, putting into place a living wage federally in the federal jurisdiction. Next, force the provinces to follow suit. You see this whole minimum wage argument? In Saskatchewan, it's about $11.25 an hour. In Newfoundland, it's about $11.60 an hour. In Ontario, it's a little over $14 an hour. We need what is called a living wage. In other words,
to interrupt you there. I know you're in full flight, but it's a 3-minute interview. Jerry Dias, we're going to cut you off there, but I'm coming back for the second 3-minute with Jerry Dias. Thank you for watching. We are going to continue to broadcast from the Secret Bar here on top of the George Restaurant Courtyards on Queen Street East in Toronto. In these days, where politicians are spending a lot of your money, Parliament's not sitting, it's important to have an independent news source. That's what we are doing. We hope you subscribe.